You wake up with a silent ache in your chest. It doesn't scream, but it never leaves. It's that heavy, invisible drag that wraps around your ribs when no one's watching. The feeling that you were meant for more, yet you're stuck playing small. And the cruel part, you can't even explain it to others. They don't see what you see. To them, you're fine, you're surviving, but inside you feel like a lion pacing in a cage, built from your own indecision. And worse, you built the cage. With every delay, every excuse, every moment you chose comfort over confrontation. You've become so good at faking normal that you forgot what it feels like to be real. What no one tells you is that this feeling, this low hum of dissatisfaction, it isn't laziness. It's your soul trying to break free from the life your mind settled for. You know that you're capable of something powerful, but you haven't become the kind of person who can hold that power yet. You still reach for the easy thing. You still look at your phone before your purpose. You still chase after results like a starving dog instead of commanding outcomes like a grounded king. The mirror doesn't lie. You've memorized the quotes. You've romanticized the hustle. But when night falls and you're left with just the echo of your thoughts, that voice returns, the one that says you're falling behind, the one that whispers, what if this is it? That's the fear that paralyzes millions, not being nothing, but being average. That's what you're truly afraid of. Not poverty, not failure, but being invisible, being another echo in a world full of noise. You weren't born for that. You know it. You've tasted moments of clarity, those rare flashes when your conviction aligned with your action, but they're fleeting because you've become addicted to the emotional high, not the discipline that sustains it. Success doesn't come to the one who wants it the most. It comes to the one who's become immune to distractions, immune to praise and immune to panic. You haven't failed because you're weak. You failed because you keep negotiating with your old identity. You keep trying to change your life without changing yourself. The emotional trap is subtle. It dresses up as busyness. It feels like waiting for the perfect timing. It speaks in rational tones. I just need a bit more clarity. But what it's really doing is keeping you inside a maze with no exit, just looping corridors of self-doubt and half-hearted effort. And here's the trap's most brutal lie. It tells you that progress is possible without pain, that you can become extraordinary without first killing the ordinary inside you. That's fiction. You don't escape the trap with comfort. You escape by becoming dangerous. And here's your first truth worth engraving. You don't attract success by doing more. You attract it by becoming more. Success is magnetic, but magnets only pull what resonates with them. So the question isn't how to get success. The real question is, are you the kind of person success would even recognize? If you're still waiting for a breakthrough without breaking anything inside yourself, your habits, your emotional addictions, your need for validation, then you're not ready. And no, that doesn't make you broken. It makes you human. But staying there, that makes you forgettable. The emotional trap wants you to live in survival mode, reacting, scrolling, numbing. It feeds on your unexpressed greatness. But deep inside you, there's a flicker, a spark, the part of you that doesn't want a life that just looks successful. It wants truth. It wants discipline. It wants power that doesn't beg, purpose that doesn't panic, wealth that doesn't scream. That version of you exists, but only if you're willing to go through the fire, not around it. And until you do, you'll keep repelling the very thing you claim to want. So ask yourself one last time, are you living your destiny or are you rehearsing your regrets? The answer will either chain you to the emotional trap or it will shatter it. You think success is something you chase, but that's the old lie. The shift happens when you realize success is not pursued, it's permitted. And it only visits those who are prepared to receive it. You've been acting like success is some elusive creature to be hunted. But it's not out there, it's a reflection. It shows up when you evolve. It finds its home in people who have become the kind of vessel that can hold it. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And until you rewire that inner foundation, every goal you touch will turn to dust because your identity hasn't been upgraded to match the outcomes you're reaching for. So how do you shift? You study those who have already become what you seek. Let's talk about one, Leonardo da Vinci. Not just a painter, not just a scientist. He was a force of disciplined obsession. In a world ruled by conformity, Leonardo carved out a reality no one else could see because he lived with relentless curiosity and self-command. What made him remarkable wasn't his genius. It was his ability to cultivate genius through ritual, silence, and the refusal to live like the rest. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't beg for inspiration. He studied everything, obsessed over detail, mastered dozens of disciplines, all in the quiet war between who he was and who he knew he could become. Da Vinci didn't chase success. He became a phenomenon, and success found him. But let's go deeper. Consider Harriet Tubman, a woman born into bondage, without money, status, or freedom, yet carried a vision so fierce it ripped open the fabric of history. She had no permission, no resources, just a will forged in divine fire. She became free because she became freedom itself. Her identity was untouchable. That's the shift. When the world outside you doesn't determine what lives within you, when you become so internally clear that no external circumstance can sabotage you. Tubman didn't need motivation. She had mission. She was the embodiment of purpose. You don't get there by mimicking, you get there by becoming you, fully, fearlessly, finally. And that's the greatest refrain. Success is not found in doing more. It's unlocked by becoming more. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It is a signal to be strengthened. You keep asking what to do next, but that's not the right question. The question is, who must I become so that what I desire becomes natural to me? Because once that shift happens, once you stop pursuing and start aligning, doors open, people listen, opportunities appear. Not because of luck, but because you've stopped repelling them with your uncertainty. You've become a living signal of clarity, a person who doesn't need to scream, "I'm ready," because their presence already says it. You are not late, you are not broken, but you are unfinished, and it's time to stop living like a half-formed soul hoping for full-spectrum results. This world doesn't respond to noise. It responds to energy, and energy only gets stronger when the person holding it becomes unshakable. That's the shift Da Vinci embodied. That's the essence Harriet Tubman carried through the wilderness, and that's what you're being called to step into now. You are not here to chase, you are here to transform. This is where most people fold. Not in the heat of battle, but in the cold hours before it, because mental training is not glamorous. It's not loud, it's the lonely repetitions done in silence, the inner recalibration when no one's clapping. You want success to feel exciting. But the truth is, becoming the kind of person who attracts success feels boring, brutal, and blisteringly repetitive. It's waking up at war with your excuses. It's sitting in stillness when your mind screams for stimulation. And above all, it's mastering the mind before the mind masters you. Leonardo da Vinci didn't become a genius by accident. He designed his obsession, he weaponized his attention, he trained his curiosity like an athlete trains muscle, with intention, endurance, and pain tolerance. He filled notebooks with anatomical sketches, backwards handwriting, and endless calculations. Not because it felt good, but because he knew what you practice in private becomes your power in public. And yet today you let yourself scroll instead of study. You stimulate instead of sharpen. You consume instead of create. You react instead of retain control. You want transformation, but you're not training your mind for it. That ends now. Mental training begins with clarity. You must know what you want with such precision that your mind has no space for confusion. Ambiguity is the enemy of momentum. Write your purpose down daily, not because you'll forget it, but because you must become it. Next, attack the first hour of your day with militant structure. No phone, no distractions. Just focus. Move your body. Command your breathing. Set your rhythm. This is your launch pad, because the mind mirrors the morning. If you begin reactive, you live reactive. And the person who attracts success, he's never chasing clarity at noon. He already built it by 5 a.m. And then there's repetition. Not sexy, not new, but essential. You don't become disciplined by learning new ideas. You become disciplined by installing identity-based habits that override your emotional weather. Tubman didn't need a planner. She had a mission. She woke up to purpose, not preference. You must do the same. Repetition of your rituals, your disciplines, your standards. That's how you break neural resistance. Train your focus like a monk. Train your execution like a soldier. Do not rely on feeling. Your feelings are temporary. Your standards must be eternal. Now here's the key. Emotional detachment. You cannot train your mind if you're still owned by every rise and fall in mood. When success begins to knock, it doesn't bring flowers. It brings fire, rejection, ridicule, resistance. You train your mind so that in the storm you don't flinch. Da Vinci was mocked. Tubman was hunted. They trained their minds to be fortresses, not filters. Stop reacting. Start observing. Then acting. This is mental sovereignty. Remember this line: discipline is remembering what you want long after your mood has changed. That is how kings are forged. You don't need more information. You need implementation with force, daily, no breaks, no bargains. Because the version of you that success is looking for, he doesn't just think differently. He moves differently, speaks differently, trains differently. This is the beginning of your rebuild. You are no longer seeking success. You're sculpting the mindset that success cannot ignore. Most people never lose because they were outmatched. They lose because they were emotionally undisciplined. They make one mistake and spiral. Hear one criticism and shut down. Hit one obstacle and fold. Emotional mastery isn't about removing pain. It's about no longer being owned by it. If your mood controls your movement, you will never build momentum. And if your emotions decide your worth, you will sabotage every gift you've been given. This is why success doesn't belong to the smartest or even the most talented. It belongs to the ones who can hold their center while everything else burns. Harriet Tubman had every right to be broken, to be bitter, to be frozen by fear. She lived with a target on her back, hunted, hated, haunted, but she didn't move from emotion. She moved from conviction. That's emotional mastery. It's when you choose action over anxiety, purpose over panic, when you stop needing to feel ready and instead decide to be ready. And most importantly, when you allow pain to forge you, not define you. Tubman didn't just escape slavery. She returned again and again, leading others, knowing every step could be her last. How? Because her fear didn't hold her. Her mission did. She transformed emotion into weaponry. So must you. You say you want to be great, then you must train your nervous system to stay calm in chaos. That means breath work when your chest is tight. That means silence when your ego wants to lash out. That means gratitude in moments of humiliation. Emotional mastery is emotional transmutation. You take the raw material of anger, fear, frustration, and you turn it into fuel. Not reaction, not suppression, redirection. Think of Da Vinci. His frustrations didn't turn to rage, they turned into pages. Pages of invention. Pages of progress. He didn't scream, he channeled. That's what high-level achievers do. They don't get less emotional. They become more sovereign over those emotions. Let's get brutally clear. If you still blow up when things don't go your way, you're not ready for success. If you still ghost your habits because someone hurt your feelings, you're not serious yet. If one setback turns into a spiral, you're still governed by your inner child, not your inner warrior. And this isn't about being cold. It's about being stable. A rock in the river, an anchor in the storm. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing external conditions to align, you become the one who bends them at will. This is your emotional upgrade. Detach from the noise, connect to the signal. Refuse to act from fear, pride, or guilt. Choose stillness. Choose discipline. Choose grounded response when everything in you wants to flinch. And when the old patterns return, because they will, do not fight them. Observe, interrupt, replace. That's emotional transmutation in real time. You are not your thoughts. You are not your mood. You are the force behind both. If you dare to reclaim it, let this line anchor you. When you stop reacting, you start ruling. Rule your mind, rule your day, rule your day, rule your life. And here's the truth. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who stays silent and still, because they've already won the war within. This is not about being numb. It's about becoming untouchable. You feel everything, but you obey nothing but your mission. That's emotional mastery. And that's what separates the loud from the legendary. There will come a day, sooner than you expect, when your name will be spoken for the last time, your last message read, your last footprint erased. And the only thing that remains is impact. Not your bank account, not your followers, not even your achievements, but the effect you had on others. What shifted in the world simply because you existed. That is the moment most people live unprepared for, because they spent their whole life trying to be successful instead of trying to be significant. You think you have time. You think legacy is something you worry about later after you've made it. But legacy doesn't begin when you retire. It begins the moment you decide to stop living just for yourself. It begins when your standards start echoing into other people's lives, when your discipline becomes their inspiration, when your quiet war against mediocrity gives someone else permission to raise their own bar. That's legacy. It's not built in headlines. It's built in habits. So ask yourself, what are you building? Are you stacking bricks of significance or castles made of sand? Because every choice you make right now is a vote for what will outlive you. You think your late night scrolling doesn't matter. It does. You think skipping your routine is harmless. It's not. Every act of avoidance is a quiet decision to disappear. And if you live enough days like that, days where you betray your own greatness in the name of convenience, you'll look back and realize you didn't live a life. You lived a delay. Legacy isn't one big act. It's the accumulation of 1,000 small ones done with full conviction in full obscurity. Look at Harriet Tubman. Her name lives because her courage moved others. Because she walked through fire not once but over and over, pulling others behind her through the dark. She wasn't given power. She became power, not because of status, because of stamina. Her legacy didn't ask for approval. It forced history to rewrite itself. You want to be remembered? Then stop chasing moments and start building movements. Movements in your house, movements in your discipline, movements in your energy. Tubman didn't start a movement by going viral. She did it by becoming so committed to the mission that her life became the message. And what about Leonardo da Vinci? His legacy wasn't shaped by what people thought of him in his lifetime. It was shaped by the layers he left behind. No sketches, observations, not grand announcements, but granular truths that reshaped science, art, medicine, architecture. He didn't chase fame, he chased understanding. And because he went deeper than anyone else dared, his work has outlived century. That's what real legacy does. It lives longer than your lifetime. And if you think that's reserved for people in history books, you're already losing. Legacy isn't reserved for the famous. It's the right of anyone who lives with intention. Here's the brutal truth. You are either living your legacy or leaking your life. Every excuse, every delay, every lie you tell yourself, it's decay. You think you'll start tomorrow? That's what dying souls say. The ones who never made their debt, the ones who let comfort sterilize their contribution. But you, if you're still listening, then you know that excuse is over. Your life is not a trial run. This is it. Every day is your Yuli in progress. So write it with precision. Legacy thinkers ask different questions. They don't ask, what can I get? They ask, what can I give that no one else can replicate? They understand that true value is not in outcomes. It's in offering. Your story, your scars, your fire, your present. That's your legacy. When people stand in your energy and become better simply because you didn't flinch. You want a legacy? Start by creating something worth inheriting. A mindset, a rhythm, a code. Your kids may never quote your success, but they will live by your structure. They will remember if you woke up early, if you stayed calm in storms, if you kept promises to yourself. That's the inheritance that never fades. Your standard. Let me make it clearer. The person who attracts success doesn't build for Friday. He builds for forever. He doesn't get distracted by popularity. He's anchored in permanence. He sees through the noise and aligns his decisions with time, not trends. Because legacy is built in the long game, in the invisible repetitions, in the years when no one claps but you keep showing up anyway. Da Vinci didn't finish everything he started. Neither did Tubman, and neither will you. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to complete everything. The goal is to begin what act to create ripples, so profound that someone somewhere years from now becomes stronger because you existed today. This is about becoming a fixed point in a chaotic world, a soul so rooted in purpose that even your silence speaks standards. This is the shift. Stop thinking like a consumer of time. Start behaving like an architect of eternity. That means less distraction, less noise, more sacred building, more daily decisions that bend the arc of your story toward permanence. Let me give you your legacy mantra. Say it out loud if you must. My life is my blueprint. My standard is my signal. My breath is my responsibility. Every breath you take either builds your monument or breaks it. Decide. And here's your share-worthy thunderclap for this part. Do not waste time chasing what fades. Build what will not fall when you do. Because if you get this, truly get this, you will stop waking up for dopamine and start waking up for dominion. You will begin to walk like your days matter, like your steps are scripture, like your sweat is sacred. You will stop living for validation and start dying for vision. That's what it means to live for legacy. And once you do, the world has no choice but to remember you. There is a version of you, quiet, precise, unshakable, that the world has never seen. Not because it doesn't exist, but because you've been too busy surviving to summon it. And now, after all the hours, all the loss, all the silent battles and private doubts, you stand at a cliff. One step backward and you fall into comfort forever. One step forward and you enter fire, the fire that forges legends. This is not a metaphor. This is your moment of rebirth, because every transformation demands a death, the death of the weak version of you, the one who hesitated, who waited for signs, who made peace with mediocrity, because it was easier than facing the terror of greatness. You don't get to keep the old you and meet the future at the same time. You must bury the version of yourself that played small. And burying it isn't clean. It isn't poetic. It's brutal. It's making the hard decision at 4 a.m. when your body aches. It's choosing the harder right when no one will ever thank you for it. It's doing the inner work when the world only applauds outer results. That's what greatness actually is. Not glory, but grit. The grit to do what must be done even when nothing outside you is cheering. Harriet Tubman didn't get a standing ovation when she chose to turn around and go back into danger for the 100th time. She got silence, she got fear, she got risk, and yet she moved. Why? Because she knew who she was. And when you know who you are, you don't wait for applause. You don't ask for permission. You move because the mission is louder than your mood. And Da Vinci? He painted with brushes, yes, but he sculpted with discipline. He dissected corpses at night to understand the truth of the human body. He turned his back on comfort to pursue clarity. He created work that outlasted kings because he worked in obsession. That is what it takes. That is what you're being called into. This is the final frame, the moment when you stop being a seeker and become the signal. Do not romanticize this. Transformation is not glamorous. It will cost you friends. It will threaten your comfort. It will dismantle your excuses. But it will hand you yourself in return, the highest version, the clearest, most lethal, most focused expression of your potential. And from that place, you no longer chase. You pull. You become gravity. You walk into a room and it bends around your presence not because you're loud, but because you've become inevitable. This is what the average will never understand. Success isn't loud. It isn't desperate. It doesn't plead. It doesn't beg for attention. It walks in silence, moves in discipline, and speaks only when necessary. You want to be unforgettable? Stop broadcasting and start becoming. Turn your pain into protocol, your heartbreak into hunger, your fears into fuel. The world does not need another influencer. It needs another pillar, another soul so grounded that even in the middle of chaos, others steady themselves just by standing near you. You want the world to notice you. Good, then earn it. Become the person who doesn't flinch, the person who builds while others bicker, who sharpens while others scroll, who stands still while others panic. Because here's the truth. Success doesn't want your desperation. It wants your dominance. Not dominance over people, dominance over self. That's the real win. That's the final level. And maybe you've never seen that version of you because you've been told your whole life to play nice, to be reasonable, to stay humble. But humility isn't shrinking. Humility is strength under command. It's quiet conviction, not passive silence. It's showing up daily with divine fire without needing to shout about it. The person who attracts success isn't the one who screams, "Look at me." It's the one who makes success whisper, "There he is." So let me ask you this and answer it with your chest. Will you die as who you are or give birth to who you were always meant to be? Because if you don't answer now, the question will haunt you. It'll echo in the quiet moments. It'll whisper on your deathbed. It'll ache in the parts of your soul that knew better and stayed silent. Do not waste this breath. Do not waste this body. Do not waste this fire. Bury the weakness. Burn the excuses. Become the one who is worth becoming. Let these words ring in your spine. You are not late. You are not lost. You are just undisciplined. And that is curable. And your war cry for this, the most terrifying man in the world, is the one who rebuilt himself in silence and now walks with nothing left to prove. This is the final frame, not the end of your story, the beginning of the one the world will remember. Now we arrive at the part no one sees, and yet it's the only part that truly matters. Because the greatest war is not the one you fight in public. It's the one fought inside your own subconscious, in the hours before dawn, in the spaces between distractions, in the silence that roars louder than any applause ever could. You've consumed the message. You've felt the fire. But the question remains, will it stay? Or will it fade like every other fleeting motivation, buried under the rubble of another inspiring video you forgot by morning? Let's make something clear. Transformation does not happen while watching. It happens in the quiet after, when no one's watching, but you still move. That's the battlefield we enter now. You don't become unshakable by thinking new thoughts once. You become unshakable by repeating truth until it becomes your operating system. This is where the real work begins. Not in hype, not in highlight reels, but in reprogramming the subconscious mind, the place that decides 95% of your decisions before you even realize you made them. The place that has been coded since you were a child with fear, limits, and the echo of smallness. It's not your conscious mind that's keeping you average. It's your unconscious belief that you were born to be average. And until you rewrite that script, you will keep living in reruns no matter how loudly you claim you want success. Let's go back to Da Vinci. What set him apart wasn't just his intellect, it was his internal environment. He programmed his mind to obsess over mastery, to fixate on the unseen, to pursue questions the world hadn't yet asked. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens through daily input. Tubman didn't walk into the darkness with courage by chance. She repeated truth to herself over and over until fear lost its grip. My people must go free. That wasn't a slogan. That was subconscious coding. That was a belief turned into a blueprint, played on repeat until even death threats couldn't interrupt it. That's what you must build now. A mind so aligned with vision that doubt becomes irrelevant. So what do you do with this? You turn this video into a ritual, not background noise, a nightly command. Before bed you hit replay, not for entertainment, for imprinting. Because your mind is most vulnerable in those final minutes before sleep, when the gates of the subconscious swing open unguarded, absorbing whatever you feed it. And right now, you've been feeding it distraction. You've been sedating it with stories that don't serve you, voices that weaken you, screens that steal your sovereignty. That ends tonight. Tonight you begin the reprogramming. You take the raw material of this message and you press it into your neural pathways like fire into steel. Not one, every night, until you don't just believe it, you become it. You set reminders, you build rituals, you write the lines that struck you deepest on your walls, your phone, your mirror. You replace every casual scroll with intentional repetition. This is how warriors are made, not by one decision, but by daily repetition of a decision made once and never questioned again. Rewire your standards, rewrite your story, rerun the truth until it becomes indistinguishable from your identity. Because this isn't about feeling better. This is about becoming different, becoming the person who no longer flinches, who no longer asks for the bare minimum, who walks into rooms with presence, not performance, who attracts success because they are made of structure, not emotion. You are not weak. You were just poorly programmed, and now you know how to override it, through ritual, through repetition, through replay. This is the line you engrave into your bloodstream tonight. I become what I repeat, and I now repeat power, clarity, and command. And here is your final share-worthy line carved in thunder. Repetition builds identity, identity builds destiny, and destiny bows to the disciplined. You've made it this far. You've heard the fire. Now embed it. Let it wrap around your neural fibers. Let it hum beneath your decisions. Let it move you without thinking. Replay this before sleep tonight. Not for hype, but for neurological transformation, and every night after. Until your subconscious no longer resists power, it expects it. Comment the line that hit you hardest, then play this video again tonight, and let it rewire your subconscious.